Welcome to another episode of the Bachelor Universe podcast. I'm your host, Jim Alexander, and today's episode we're going to be going over is the famous return of the annoying, creepy, stalkerish Nick Vale. So Nick Vale makes his return on this episode. We left off last week with Clint being confronted by Caitlyn, as in, and by confronted, I mean as in she calling him the biggest douche in Bachelor history. And she took him aside, and that's where we ended last week's episode. This week, it picks up with her talking to Clint, and Clint trying to make a case to stay in the mansion, saying that doing his best job of deflecting all the negatives and trying to make her believe that he's there for the right reasons and that he didn't really do anything wrong and people are overreacting. When things turn bad for Clint is when his boy, his buddy, his love interest, JJ, turns on him. Yes, we've seen the huge turn of the heel villain, and now JJ turned on him, and that was the shocker. Because clearly Clint didn't see that coming, and JJ is just being JJ. JJ was definitely, I wouldn't say messing around with Clint, because that would be too obvious. But the thing was that that's what JJ is. He's a backstabbing sleazeball that shouldn't be trusted, and Clint found out at that point. So yeah, the little confrontation turned into a big blowout. They pretty much forgot about the whole Caitlyn issue. Clint was just dealing now with JJ, and that's what affected him the most and hurt him the most, was JJ turning on him. And they were just jarring back and forth at each other, mostly Clint just calling out JJ. And the highly emotional blow up finally ended when Clint said, "Hey, that tie goes really good with your shirt, you piece of you know what, fill in the blank." And that was it. And he walks off. Really pissed off and disappointed Clint leaves the show. And JJ is actually feeling somewhat bad. The next scene, as Clint rides off into the sunset or wherever he's riding off to, we see JJ crying, just in tears and all broken up about it and showing some emotion. So yes, the villains aren't villain together anymore, but JJ is feeling the after effect. And we see a really bizarre scene where we see a silhouette of JJ, and his back's turned to the camera, and he slaps himself and basically says, "Get it together." Yeah, like that's not weird of him just slapping himself and trying to make himself stop crying. That dude is just a weirdo. I mean, you can't put it any other way. The guy has just got a screw or two loose. No question about it. So that drama is now in the books, and Caitlyn, witnessing majority of this, decides that it is not the right time and moment, and she doesn't feel like she should be having a rose ceremony. So there is no rose ceremony. Another week, another rose ceremony. Not really happening. I mean, they were happening beginning of the episodes on the last couple, but now there was no rose ceremony, so JJ gets to live another day. I mean, don't you think rose ceremonies are kind of so 2014? Yeah, this season's definitely different. No question about it. They're doing it a different way. They're kind of approaching it and slotting it a different way where they're ending episodes with cliffhangers. And maybe they just realize, I don't know about the ratings, maybe that rose ceremony doesn't sell anymore. Although you would think it'd be the most dramatic part of the show, but things are changing in Bachelor land. So then Caitlyn announces that they're going, actually, Chris Harrison announces, and Caitlyn seconds him, that they are taking their first trip of the season and they are leaving the mansion for good, which is kind of surprising. I thought they would come back there eventually, but apparently not. And their first trip is New York City. I mean, if you compare it to Chris Soule's season, this seems like paradise, but boy, have things gone down. The budget has been slashed in Bachelor Land because there's no way that in the previous seasons New York City would be a major spot to go to. Although it's a great huge city, I mean I can see the appeal of it, but what happened to all these exotic locations? What happened to foreign countries? That is just not happening anymore. And so they go to New York City. So what's the first thing you would do when you arrive in New York City? Most people would probably see a Broadway show. More on that later. Uh, or just check out the sights. Go see the Statue of Liberty, but no. On The Bachelorette, you get to go to a rap battle. Yes, with Doug E. Fresh hosting it. Um, wow. This season has the most bizarre dates, individual, single ones, and the group dates. So if they're not knocking each other out and getting concussed, or sumo wrestling and having swinging nuts all around, now they're doing rap battles. So this rap battle, definitely no 8 Mile here, but there's each guy was paired off against each other. So there's 8 guys, and one was going against another. Of course, they had a little training lesson beforehand. That definitely didn't help. First of all, to note that Caitlyn cannot rap and should never attempt rapping in her life because it is truly atrocious. So the first rap battle, if that's what you want to call it, is Ben Z. No, not the acne cream, the guy, Ben Z, versus Tanner. And Ben Z goes with something like 1, 2, 3, countdown. I'm gonna knock you out like a first date. This, me, naturally. Even with steroids, you won't like me. You won't look like me. Okay. Either way, it makes no sense. That was the worst rap I've ever heard. To which Tanner replies, she's too small for you, bro. She couldn't fit in your pocket. Plus, a big guy, you have a very tiny rocket. Um, Unless they were pulling a Clinton JJ shower zit popping session. Not sure how Tanner would know that information, but at least it was a little bit of a better comeback than what Ben Z had for him. Either way, fail. Next up was Jonathan versus Ryan. Jonathan goes with, please take your ass back to Florida, cause I know she's bored of ya. Okay. And then Ryan goes, hanging with all these kids on a group date, kind of feeling like a bad episode with Kate plus 8. Yeah, that's really corny and lame. But at least it rhymed a little bit. Kind of made sense. Then the big wrap off. JJ versus Corey. I still don't know who Corey is and why is he on the show. Never seen him. Don't know what he's doing. Wow. Okay. Well, clearly we have a villain in this rap battle. So Corey goes with, let me talk about my boy here, JJ. Okay, so they're boys and you're trying to diss them? I don't get it. After the first date, you won cray cray. Okay, that makes sense. over there wearing boat shoes. True. No way she's out that one she's gonna choose. Okay, hopefully. JJ, are you enjoying your stint? Where's your boyfriend? Your boyfriend Clint. Okay, I'll give it to him. That was good. Best stay on your toes. I'm here for Caitlyn. Gonna get the last rose. Um, okay, not too bad. So far, a clear winner of this. To which JJ replies, so you think you work on Wall Street, you think you're a wolf, but you're really a sheep. It doesn't rhyme. All the boy spitting on that prose. Go back to your NYC hose. Okay, so he is in NYC, and the crowd, which predominantly has women, really must have appreciated that comment. The NYC hose. Didn't fly with the audience, composed of women. So good job, JJ. You're definitely winning this one. And then the final is Sean. Yep, Sean Schnozling versus Justin. So Sean goes. First thing first, let's get this out of the way. Your hair, just ask. I'll help you one day. You say, okay, that's all right. He's got weird hair and bad haircut. You say you're a big time personal trainer. Caitlyn, his body, my body, no brainer. That's true. I mean, he did kind of flash his abs, and yeah, he's a trainer. So this was a battle of the trainers. Yeah, the wrap off between the personal trainers. Why is there so many personal trainers on this season? Dudes, get another profession, man. Come on, guys. I think there's like 3 personal trainers on this season. Too many. And they're supposed to be the most eligible guys in the country. Okay. Okay, Justin's response. Welcome to the Ryan Gosling Matt Damon feud. Okay, so he finally mentioned something everyone's been talking about. Matt Damon, I'm guessing he is talking about himself. Not in this lifetime. Don't see it. About to hear apart this dude. First impression, Rose? Come on, man. You got that because you're creepy ass fan. Remind me how the Notebook end. That's right. She forgot you, man. I'm in. Um. Okay. I mean, it's not a diss that you called him Ryan Gosling and compare him to being in a Notebook. He had some nice little rhymes in there, but epic fail for everyone. Caitlyn said it was the worst rap battle she's ever seen, and I will actually agree. So yeah, but what this wasn't the big thing that happened at this rap battle. The thing is, besides all these women that JJ offended, there were 2 guests randomly appearing, and they were Ashley I. Okay, I can see that. She's from New Jersey, so she's maybe in the area, heard about it. Someone must have tipped her off, so she showed up to see her friend Caitlyn. And joining Ashley I was Nick Vale. Oh yeah, Nick Vale. Just randomly in New York with Ashley I. What a coincidence. He runs into Caitlyn. Unbelievable. So the return of Nick Vale at a rap-off battle. And he was hiding in the back, somewhere like behind back of the stage. So way to be sneaky, Nick. Awesome. And then we get into the talk about how Caitlyn starts explaining how she's actually kind of known Nick Vale, that they've quote unquote talked. If you look back, Nick Vale had a lot of tweets about Caitlyn, proclaiming his interest and affection and love for her. And Caitlyn definitely has a thing for him, and you could tell fairly quick that she does. Um, he basically asks her if he can kind of stick around and makes it seem like it's completely up to her. We know it's not. We know that he's there to stay. He wouldn't have been invited for just no reason. Nick Vale is staying, no question about it. So then there's a little back and forth between them. She's already into him more so than most of the guys in there, so that's good news for everyone there. At Nick Vale's 2 minutes have surpassed their weeks of being there. So clearly, people are making impressions. And so now we get left with a little cliffhanger of will she accept him and she needs to sleep on it and all that stuff. Um, that is not a surprise. So after like hours of deliberation, what's a girl supposed to do? Then get advice from her friend. And as this has been the theme all season long with surprises and reunions, she gets her hair done, braided by, I mean, who else would you pick to get your hair braided from your season? Oh, Ashley S. Yes, the onion growing crazy Ashley S. is giving her a hair braid job. Um, I said hair braid job, not don't think anything else. So yeah, and Ashley S is offering advice, saying it's probably just lust between her and Nick. And when Ashley S is giving good advice, you're in trouble. You are in deep trouble. You know that your love life is in trouble when Ashley S is the voice of reason. So, Caitlyn actually has a date. Yeah, she has a date with Jared. They go to some sort of a museum, and it was pretty much closed off, uh, and only for them. And then Jared, of course, kind of becomes his, great version of a 13-year-old that he is, and shaved and all. And he's trying to make an impression on her, and she seems to be digging, and he's playing the. Actually, maybe he is. I wouldn't say playing, but the nice guy act. Um, I mean, that guy just seems harmless, and she's buying it. Um, she likes his approach. I think she likes the way he is. So there you go. There it was. On to, and nothing memorable really. On to the next thing, which was a group date. Yes, we get a group date. Oh, and of course, Jared got a rose. Surprise, surprise. She seems to give them out to everyone who goes on a date. Um, so then the group date was, since they're in NYC, finally, you get something interesting. And that was auditions for the Broadway Aladdin play. So on this day, we had Ben H., Ian, Joshua, Chris Cupcake, and Joe. So they get to embarrass themselves and audition in front of the actual casting people and director from the play. And one of them Caitlyn would get a spot at the performance. So everyone's awful and terrible. Joe, I won't even embarrass you further because you're a welder, so it's understandable. Um, and the thing that was of note was that Chris Cupcake, we just find out that he is such a lover of Broadway and Disney, and he's just such a singer, and it's his dream to perform, and he really went out. And by went out, I mean tried way too hard. He thought he's way better than he actually is. But compared to all these other guys that really had nothing going and couldn't even sing a tune, Chris Cupcake gets the one-on-one. Yay, he wins. Um, so okay, nothing thrilling happened on the Jared one-on-one. We also get the whole Nick Vale thing. So Nick Vale is seen in a lot of cutaways and him walking through New York and blizzards and all that. He does a lot of walking in these cutaways. He's always walking somewhere. He meets up with Caitlyn, and of course, they meet up on a pier. And first thing they do within like 5 seconds is make out. So that's what you do when you meet someone for the first time, right? That you seemingly didn't have didn't have that much of a history with. But yeah, clearly there's a lot going on behind the scenes because you wouldn't really kiss a guy within 5 seconds of seeing him unless he's, I don't know, Brad Pitt or something. But Nick Vale gets his way. That sleazy villain. He's the real villain now. When JJ is a voice of reason, actually, That's not good. And by what I mean by that is that back in the house, the guys got word of Nick Vale being considered, and everyone was against it. And you even had guys like JJ being worried and making comments how he doesn't deserve his shot, how he had his chance, and that he's in it for the fame. JJ, the voice of reason, come on. Wow. But he's right, and it seems like it, according to the guys, that everyone agreed that they did not want Nick there. Ben H seemed to be one of the proponents of being super worried about it, and Jared was playing off that he's gonna, he trusts what he has with Caitlyn. Um, but yeah, that the guys were kind of worried of Nick Vale coming in, and as we can see, Caitlyn spends a lot of time talking to him, even on the phone. So I don't think these other guys get that. But he got to talk to her on the phone, and of course she brought him back. I mean, are you kidding me? How could she not? Um, and so yeah, that's the big thing to take away. Chris Cupcake's date with Caitlyn, nothing spectacular. They of course performed in Aladdin, and by performed I mean showed up on stage and didn't even have a line. They just stood there, and that was it, dressed in Aladdin gear. So they were, a low level extra. Yeah, the funny part was that they were talking about how memorable it was and how they're never gonna forget it. Really? Uh, like 5 minutes on stage doing nothing? Okay. Great for the people in attendance, the paying crowd. So then Cupcake and Caitlyn get off camera. They start going up some building, and it looked kind of dangerous because we were going up those New York staircases on the outside of the building that don't have much protection. Yeah. So they go all the way to a rooftop. I'm guessing of this Broadway place. And well, they went to a rooftop that had the Times Square ball. Yeah, the ball, the New Year's Eve ball, was rested there. So they got to touch it and touched each other and smooched and kissed. It was really picturesque. And of course, Caitlyn proclaims Chris Cupcake as saying that this guy has heart. I just think he would be a great husband. Yeah. Really? Okay. I mean, he's sticking around. She sees something in him, but I don't know. He seems very almost overdoing it whenever he's out with her and trying way too hard. Him and Jared, just lay it off, boys. You're no Nick Vale. And then the episode kind of comes to a conclusion with we see Nick walking up. Yeah, walking into a building, and then he gets on an elevator, and we're presuming that he's going to meet the rest of the guys who are at the hotel. So now he finally gets to join the company of the other guys. He's part of the group. I'm sure no one else wanted him to be, but he is. So we see him in an elevator, in which seems to be the longest elevator ride ever, like in real time. I think they went like 20 floors, and it really felt like it. The guy in the elevator, just kind of with Nick. I guess he's like a worker or elevator operator. And he just kept on smirking and kind of smiling and laughing, like a sly little laugh. And Nick Vale seems very serious as he is. And we see him going in, getting off the elevator, and walking into the door of the hotel room where the guys are at. And the episode comes to a close once again. Yes, no rose ceremony once again. I don't think anyone's going to get eliminated on this season. It just doesn't seem at this point. I think everyone's staying. I mean, if Corey's staying and we don't know who he is, then shouldn't everyone else stay? Yeah, I think they'll finally do a rose ceremony next week to begin. And Corey's going to be going. I think this Ryan guy's going to go. Possibly Justin. They're just not making that much of an impact. But Nick Vale is, and that's going to add a lot of drama to this season. No question about it. He's a controversial figure. you had Twitter going off, and Andy Dorfman actually warning Caitlyn, a little too late as the show is already done filming, but she was saying run faster, meaning run away from Nick. So clearly there's some bad blood between those two. And yeah, Nick is just a slimy snake that gets his way and ends up on this season. He's back at it, and we know he's going to stir up the pot more than you can imagine. So he clearly, what we see from the next episode is guys going against him. Everyone kind of joins in to, I wouldn't say bully Nick because he's the ultimate bully, but guys are all turning against him at the house. He's got no friends. That's apparent. And that's what it is. He's explaining that he's there for Andy. I mean, yeah, just he did. He was there for Andy at one point. Was there for her way too much, creeping on her. But the same thing's for Caitlyn. He's gonna attempt his incredibly clingy methods on her, and I don't know why these women fall for it. What is so appealing about this guy? He's just so creepy and stalkerish. I don't know why, but they seem to be kind of into it. So next week we shall see more of the Nick Vale drama evolve. This episode had it all. It had a lot of returns and reunions in a sense. You had your Ashley S, Ashley I, and Nick Vale sightings. So yeah, returns galore on this episode. And the dates keep on getting odd. I guess the Broadway thing made sense being in New York. But, I mean, the wrap-off, come on, guys. Come on. Hopefully next week something else changes. I'm guessing they're leaving New York. Not sure where they're headed, but they're headed somewhere. I think this trip to Ireland's coming up soon. Might be on this episode coming up. But yeah, this has definitely been so far the most bizarre, weird, drama-packed season of The Bachelorette. And we still have the whole Who Did Caitlyn Sleep With episode coming up. So that's something that's going to be on the way soon, and that's going to even stir up more things. It seems like every week the stakes are getting set higher and more unveils and craziness ensues. So we shall see what happens next week on The Bachelorette. That's it for this episode. Guys, thanks for listening again. Thanks for downloading. As you know, you can find this podcast on Chicago Now / Bachelor-Universe. So just look up Chicago Now or type in your Google search Chicago Now or just type in Bachelor Universe and you're be sure to get my blog, which has all this podcast and all my reviews of the show and more content, I'd say, or just as much as on this podcast. And of course, always looking out for interviews and all that sorts of fun stuff. Anything Bachelor related is on there, or you can just download this on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. That's the way to find it. Bachelor Universe. Thanks for listening this week. As always, we'll be back next week. See more of the Nick Vale saga drama. What happens? Who hates him? Who doesn't? We'll find out. Leave your comments and questions definitely in the area below. And by below, I mean on the blogs. Or, yeah, you can post those questions on where you're downloading this podcast. So, yeah, I'll get back to you if you're wondering about anything else. But for now, I'm out for this week. Next week should be another drama-filled episode, as always, and this season's really cooking up. And we're only like 4 or 5 episodes in, and it is not even halfway, really, and it is really turning up a notch every other week. So we shall see what next week brings for us, but Nick Vale is here to stay, and for the worse. See you guys, I'm out.